Welcome everybody to the first of our Thursday 0 to 1 sessions. You may have joined us on a previous session on a Wednesday, but we're really excited now to have a second slot. And what you'll notice is there's a big focus from our side on the Indian market, South Asia as a whole in that sense, and how exciting as a market it is as well. And we really want to also help share more voices from those who are based there or those who are tackling that side of the market as well. And so that's a big focus area for us as well. And so we're really excited to kick off this series with Ria, who's joining us from India as well. And she also is living the freelance life, having worked in a corporate environment before as well. So similar story to some of our members in particular. We know that some of our members have gone from being in maybe a traditional employment role and then moving into being an entrepreneur, a freelancer, fractional executive, and so on. So yeah, we're really excited to hear a bit more of your own story and the learnings you've had yourself. But especially so given that you've been building a really fantastic presence across social media, you've been able to, work on things to do with personal branding and such as well, and just the different learnings that you have. So I think these sessions are always really great for everybody to jump in and learn a little bit more from other people's point of view. For those who are new to any of the sessions, I can see there's a few familiar faces on the call with us. Please feel free to pop your notes or your questions either in the chat, or there's a button at the bottom called Q&A. And if you click the Q&A button, you can also type in your question there, and then we'll answer those. We'll try to answer them as soon as we can, but it might be the case that we kind of cover a couple of the slides and then we come back to it as well. But the key point really is we want the session to be interactive if we can. So if anybody is comfortable, wants to put their hand up, we can unmute you and you can ask your question that way if you wish. There's no pressure, you don't have to do that, but it's always nice to hear your voices as well. And I'm sure it probably gets a bit boring to hear my voice too long as well. So without further ado, let's kick off. Ria, if you'd like to introduce yourself, it'd be really great. And then I'll get the slides up for you as well.
Yeah, thank you, Jamie. Thank you. First of all, thank you, Duo Circle, for having me here today. It's lovely being with you all. And I hope my experiences and journey help you in building what you've been planning and looking for. We'll be taking all the questions towards the end, like Jamie told, but please feel free to note down your questions while I walk you through the presentation. So hi, I am Ria Anchlia, once a corporate girly, now a full-time freelancer. So I turned my passion into my profession and I never looked back. I didn't have a plan when I started, but to start was my only plan. And today I help individuals and entrepreneurs build their strong personal brands on LinkedIn. And I don't do it by chasing trends, but by telling real, relatable stories that lead to real growth. And that is how I believe a real impact is made. Other than this, I write bio articles for individuals who want to put out their story in front of the world. Through relatable storytelling, audience psychology, and a few of the strategies, I help people show up as themselves and stand out anywhere. And today, I am not just building a freelance career, but I am becoming the next brand. And that's how I like to describe myself as the girl who brands you. And today, I'm here to help you understand how freelancing can be your first step in doing the same. So that's about me. Coming to why freelancing. So freelance was not a very stable model before, but today, if you see, it gives you a lot of different things. It offers you something that wasn't really possible earlier. Firstly, and the most important point that I believe is freedom and flexibility. It lets you design your own schedule. You're not bound to the traditional 9 to 5, or you don't have any fixed working hours. Some people see it as a pro, some as a con, but I feel that's a benefit that we all can take advantage from. So if you want to work late at night, or you prefer taking Mondays off, if you want to work early in the morning, it's all up to you. Yes, it's not always the same, but you can always plan your day or your week in advance. And I think the biggest advantage is that you're not just working from home or remotely, you are working on your own terms, and that gives you a lot of benefits and a lot of things to explore otherwise. Then there comes the second point, opportunity to earn more. So, unlike a job where your salary is fixed, in freelancing, you can take on multiple clients, you can work with different people, set your own rates, and scale your income as you gain experience. But this comes with a harsh reality that it's not always going to be steady. It's not always going to be a plain road. You'll have ups and downs, but you can always put in the extra efforts to make it happen. I'll share one of my example. What each of my clients pay now is 3x, almost 3x more than the initial salary I used to get. So this is how powerful freelancing can be. Of course, it took me a lot of challenges. It had a lot of struggles. I had to put in a lot of time there. But then eventually, when I became more consistent, when I started using different strategies, when I started networking more, so that is how I am here today. So I believe your income is not limited by your boss, but it's limited by your bandwidth. And here you are your own boss. So that makes it the biggest plus point. Then comes a pain point that I think we all feel is choosing your clients. So sometimes in while you're working as in a job, you're not very excited to work with everybody that it comes with you. So in freelancing, you're no longer forced to work with clients or teams that drain you. Freelancers have the power to say no and work with people they align with industry values or project type. So ever since I started saying no, I have been saying yes more often because that is how I have created filters for myself, that who I want to work with, which industry would I want to cater, how I want my working hours to look like. So this is the power of saying no, which leads to choosing your own clients. So in freelancing, you choose what you want to serve and it's not the other way around. So you literally become the boss here. Then, like I said, we'll talk about later, is no geographic limitations. So, freelancers can work with clients across the globe. Earlier, it was not possible because of the limited resources and the awareness wasn't much there about how should you target clients from different countries. But now breaking barriers of this of city or country is very easy. All you need is a laptop and Wi-Fi and a calm mind and fresh ideas, and you can literally sit anywhere and work with people around across the globe. So the world becomes your workplace when you become a freelancer. You don't need to move to a metro city or some new city to build a solid career anymore. Your career can be where you are. So that's the reason why freelancing is now, I mean, why I have chosen freelancing. And I think if somebody's thinking about it, they should too. So coming on to how to start your freelance journey. This is not something that always planned to, but when I started working in corporate, I always had the idea of working on my own, of doing something of my own. Later, I started realizing that freelancing holds much power than what a normal job can. It may differ for some people, but I feel it's freelancing has been the best thing that happened to me. So, how I started was first, and how you can do is by identifying your own skill set. So, skills are something very important that you need to work upon. Start by being clear about what service you're offering. Think about what you're good at, what you enjoy on, and what people are willing to pay for. So it doesn't have to be what others are doing, but something you can add value to. Something that excites you to work, something that doesn't make you feel lazy on a Monday morning, or something, that you look forward to on working more. So freelancing begins with self-awareness, that is by identifying your own skills, by knowing your strengths and skills that are your currency here. Then comes the niche. This is something people always struggle with. So before committing to a specific niche, I always prefer experimenting with different types of projects, and that was what I suggest. Because first, you need to test what you enjoy most and where the demand lies. Sometimes you don't want to know what you can do, but what you cannot do. So a change in perspective here also helps a lot. Exploring more leads to more clarity. Your niche should feel like a mix of passion and profit and something that you enjoy. So people talk about deciding a niche before you start, but what I suggest is to explore what you can, explore your strengths. So for example, if I were only doing content writing and I would have never explored writing posts on LinkedIn, so I would have been limited to there. So when you experiment, you fail, but that is also how you learn. So this is very important. Then comes another important point is to create a portfolio, a bio article for you, and that work around the observations that you have. A portfolio is not just something where you add your links of work or where you show your experience, but it is also your proof of work. Even if you're just starting, create sample projects or case studies based on your observation. If you don't have a gig yet, start a gig of your own. So let's say if you want to work with a brand, don't directly just go to them talking about how you can help them out. Instead, make something for them. So let's say if you want to write a jingle or a copy for a brand, so don't just send your resume or a cover letter to them. Instead, write something for them that adds value and then share that with them. So that is also how you build your portfolio. And along with it, add a strong bio with your background, the services you're offering, and a clear, very clear value proposition. No one trusts words without proof. That's something that we all know. And a good portfolio speaks louder than a resume. Like for me, my LinkedIn is my portfolio. If anybody goes there, they can see what I'm doing, what my vision is, what services I'm offering, and how I have been there and how I have been working there since the past 2 years. So basically, your portfolio, your resume should be all about you. Then deciding on pricing by understanding the market trends. So this is not a very fixed sort of thing. It can differ from individual to individual and from niche to niche. But what's important here is the research. Research what other freelancers in your domain and experience level are charging. Platforms like LinkedIn or Upwork, they can give you insights. You can start with sustainable rates and then scale as your confidence, demand, and your clientele grows. So, the best way to do this is to talk with people on different social media platforms, know what they're doing, understand why they are charging what they are charging, and then eventually create a customized rate card for each of your client or each of your lead or each of your prospect client that you want to reach out to. I used to undercharge because I was always afraid that people might say no. But then I understood that undercharging will never solve my problem. So don't undercharge out of fear. Charge based on the value you bring and not the hours you spend. Because your value, when you add value, it should speak what you're charging. Then use social media like LinkedIn to build meaningful connections. So this is how I started, and this is why I'm also here. So start posting on your learnings, your project experiences, behind the scene processes, what your observations are, what your opinion are on any social media platform. Connect with potential people, connect with like-minded people, clients in your niche, and engage genuinely. So when you start showing up more on social media, when you start commenting or maybe engaging with your potential clients post, they see that you're also there. They see that someone who is also from the same industry, from the same niche, is trying to add value. And that is how you slowly start building connections. A small connection today can be a life changing network for you. I have always believed that your network is your net worth. So make sure you're making the most use of it. Visibility builds credibility, yes, but also be consistent and not perfect, because perfection doesn't exist. And when you're consistent, you start progressing more each day. Before going forward, I hope I'm clear, and I would like to know if there's any questions.
So far, nothing, but I think it's all good for now. Yeah, we can also react as well. Thumbs up if everything's clear as well. But yeah, it's pretty clear so far. Thank you, and I'm sure everyone's excited to hear a little bit more about the LinkedIn side of things as well.
All right, yeah. Then comes another point, leverage your personal brand to attract clients. So, personal brand these days is something the way how people remember you. How you start is by showcasing your expertise, your values, your personality, and your work online consistently. This helps build a personal brand, one. Second, it attracts the right kind of clients and even referrals. So don't let people know you for just your work, but also who you are as a person. Your personal brand is your reputation before people even talk to you. And that is how you can make it intentional. So coming on to the next, why personal branding? So I believe that people should know you even before you enter the room. And personal branding is now being explored by beginners or founders in the industry for quite some time. It gives your name the power and recognition it deserves. So a lot of people know brands. Let's say you know a brand, but you might not know the founder or the face behind it. But through personal branding, that can be explored. Your personal brand can be built, and people can know you and your work. And that is what the first point is. People know you by your name and work. When you build a personal brand, your name becomes associated with the value you deliver. You don't need to constantly introduce or pitch yourself, but your content and online presence can do that for you. And in freelancing, you are the brand. So make your name carry the weight. And if you want to start as a freelancer, then personal branding is also the way to go with it. Then you build genuine connections who trust you. So, personal branding is not about selling, it's always about sharing your story, your values, and the experiences you have. This attracts like minded people who trust you and want to work with you. Trust brings work, people hire people, and not just skills. For a freelancer, it is very important that their audience, that their clients trust them. So, personal branding is again the way to go with it. People see you as a thought leader. When you consistently share insights, lessons, and opinions about your industry, people start seeing you as a subject matter expert, even if you're relatively new. But what you're writing, when you're showing up, when you're talking about something, people start engaging with it. They start seeing you as a thought leader. And if you speak up often with clarity, people assume you know what you're doing, as they'll want to know and they'll want to learn or work with you. And that is how I also started. When I started with LinkedIn, I used to write my experiences there. I used to share my challenges that I'm facing. And eventually, people started relating with it more. And that is how I understood what's working on LinkedIn, what's working for me, and what's not working for me. A lot of things didn't work out, but that's how I also learned from my mistakes. Then you explore opportunities you never thought about. Speaking gigs, podcast invites, collaborations, international clients, product launches. These are just a few things that come to you when people see you consistently showing up online with purpose. Like today, I am here with you all because of LinkedIn, because of one connection and message that turned into me sharing my experience with you all. So that is how strong personal branding or leveraging social media platforms can be. Not just this, people reach out to you for the services you offer, for inviting you for events, and brands, they reach out to collaboration as they're now exploring this more. They are now relying on influencers or creators more to promote their brands. So this is one added advantage that social media platforms, especially LinkedIn, offers you. A strong personal brand turns your online presence into a magnet for unexpected but amazing opportunities and never ending opportunities. So, how do you start with personal branding? First is optimizing your profile. Your profile is your digital storefront. So, make sure it clearly tells people who you are, what you do, and how you can help. When someone visits your profile, they should know that what you're offering and how they can benefit from it. So here's a short checklist to share. A clear profile picture, a strong and benefit-driven headline, about section with a personal touch and credibility about your work, and then feature your top work on Instagram or LinkedIn. So for LinkedIn, it's the featured section, and Instagram, it's the highlights. And don't let people guess who you are. Make your profile answer that in a few seconds. And profile optimization is just the right way to start with it. Then choose your unique quality. Since we're building a personal brand, there has to be something unique that we're offering. So think about what sets you apart. It could be your tone, your niche, your design style, or your background. You have to lean into what makes you you. So for me, it is story writing and storytelling. So when I write a post on LinkedIn, I don't just write the facts there. I also make sure to add my story there so that people can relate with it more. Even if it's a challenge, even if I'm facing a challenge or I'm struggling with something, I talk about it more often. And what I've also seen is that talking about your failures more is get attracts more attention than talking about your victories, because people are coming here to learn from you. Don't give them just lessons, give them teachings. And being different is better than being better. So always focus on being different, always focus on being you. Then how do you write posts? The art of post writing. So this is a three-part formula that starts with the hook line, then comes the story, and then the CTA, call to action. I'll share a few example of the hook line. So what really works on LinkedIn or any other social media platform, the hook line plays the most important part. And when people start reading your post, they are firstly, the hook line grabs the attention. So using negative words, using numbers there, adding more relatability, using I and you there is what keeps the people engaged till the end. This is something, a strategy that you can say, or something psychological that you can play around with your audience. So, like if I talk about I made 80,000 last month without running a single ad, people would want to know how I did it. And if I just write I made revenue with a single ad, people would not be that interested because I'm not giving them the value, or I'm not giving them a number in the hook line itself. You don't need to go viral on social media. You just need to get visible consistently and with the right and by the right people. So after the hook comes the body. When you start writing something negative in the hook line, make sure to turn it in a positive tone. So the body, the value that should tell people about what they're learning from here, what your experience is. And then in the end, always make sure to end your post with a CTA, a call to action. It can be to connect with you directly, it can be to follow you, it can be to slide into your DMs, anything that you feel is adding value to your profile. Then turning your stories into lessons and posts. Like we are building a personal brand as a freelancer. So personal experiences are something that matters a lot, be it your wins, your losses, your client stories. This can become powerful content when shared with a lesson or takeaway. If if I want to talk about something that I've learned, people would want to add, people would want me to add value to them, and then eventually they would want to implement that as well. So your journey is your content. Share what you live, not just what you are learning. This is something that again builds helps you build a personal brand. Then addressing your audience's pain points. Content or a content calendar is not a one stop solution, or is not a one fixed strategy for everybody. It differs from individual to individual and from profile to profile. So first you have to understand what your ideal clients struggle with. Create content that solves those problems, answer their questions, and show how you have helped others like them learn. So if your content makes someone say this is exactly what I needed, just know that you're doing it right. In the end, be consistent, make mistakes, learn from them, and be proud of what you do, because by the time you will start, you will make a lot of mistakes. And when you make mistakes, you learn about what not to do. So I would always suggest you to make mistakes, not be afraid to start, because that is how you learn. And that is how you grow. Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Awesome, thank you. I think I've got a bunch of questions, so I won't hog all the time with everyone else. But if you do have questions, comments, anything like that, you can share your own experiences. You know, maybe the successes you had or the ones the pain points. Please do put those in the comments. We do have a question in the Q&A right now, which says, "Hi Ria, how do you find potential prospects on LinkedIn as a freelancer?" I guess probably because in a way, like if you're attached to a business, it's a little more obvious about what the business does and maybe what you're hoping to achieve. So I guess how would you approach that as an individual in that sense?
So to find potential prospects on LinkedIn as a freelancer, for this, the only way to go is by building your personal brand. I'm very confident about it because that is how I started with. When you talk about your services, people think that you're just selling them. But when you talk about the value you're adding, people will know that what they can benefit from. So don't reach out to clients unless you have some value to offer. Start by writing what you're good at, start by writing what you have done in the past, start by sharing your experiences, start by sharing your stories, your struggles, everything around you. Don't just limit to your work, be very, very open to talking everything about you. And in the end, end your post or end your story with a call to action that how you can benefit them and who you are as a service provider. And that is how people will reach out to you. Another way is by building connections, networking with them. Even if you think this is not a potential client, send them friend request, send them a request, add them, speak with them, and that is how you will know that who can be your client and who cannot be your client.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
like that.
like that. I think it's good. Yeah, sorry, yes, this is one.
Yes, thank you very much, Ria. Nice presentation. I think
Thank you.
very useful tips for our members there.
Thank you.
I have a question around the follower base on LinkedIn. You have 50,000 followers. I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty impressive
Thank you.
for someone doing this work on LinkedIn, and that speaks for your work. When customers or users come onto your profile, they see that 50,000 number, and that's impressive.
Thank
I'm
you.
actually curious to know how that grew. I'm personally quite active on LinkedIn, and
Yeah.
especially in the last 2 years, and I've only been able to add 10,000. That's 1/5 of what you've got. So I'm kind of comparing, or at least want to see the comparison as to what you do better here.
So I think there's nothing about comparison, but I think following the right strategies there. Even if you're active for 2 years or maybe more than 2 years, consistency is not what will help you grow alone. It's also how well you're strategizing, how well you are writing the post, how well you are addressing your audience. So even if you're active for 2 years and you're not addressing the pain points that your audience wants to learn, they will not be very impressed or attracted by what you're writing. So there are a few strategies on LinkedIn that really work. One is time, how consistent you are with posting on time every day. So LinkedIn is not a very time friendly platform because it asks you to be there on the same time every day. If you're posting at 10 a.m. one day, the other day you're posting at 10:30, the other day you're posting at 11 a.m. So that is something that will hamper your growth. And that can be one reason why you are not able to grow. So try posting this. This is a short tip. Try posting on the same time every day. Try deciding a specific tone for all your posts. And yes, then again, there are different strategies that we can always discuss one on one. And I would want to talk more about it if, yeah.
Thank you, Ria. And Jamie, there was a question in Q&A. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, there's a couple of questions actually that have come in. So the first question is a little bit more of a freelancer one, I guess. It's trying to get your point of view as somebody who's been doing this for a while. working with clients and so on. So the question says, how important are contracts for freelancers? And the extra note they added is they're saying they're guessing payment / multiple urgent changes are a constant pain in the neck. I guess if you're doing strategy and maybe you're having to tweak things, or if you're doing like maybe copy consultation and things. So it's like, how do you deal with that as a freelancer? So the contract part, and then I guess then maybe what you might call amendments or adjustments that happen after the contract has maybe been agreed.
So this is one big, like a big pain point for me, that as freelancers, people, especially in India, people don't trust you very much because of their past experiences or because of how they see freelancers. Even for me, when I started, this was something that I struggled with a lot. A lot of my clients didn't clear my invoices for 2 3 months, and I used to just, wait for them. But then I thought, why should I even wait for it? So I don't prefer, not everybody prefers making a contract with a freelancer because that is how you are differentiated from an agency. And personally, I also don't believe in doing this. So what the best way out can be is to either charge them upfront the 100% of the invoice, or maybe divide it into installments so that even you are assured and they are assured as well that they haven't paid the entire amount upfront, and you also have the surety in mind that yes, they have invested their money, they're investing their time also, and that is how they will retain with you, they will be with you in this journey. So this is not something that I cracked it in the first month, in the second, or maybe in just 6 months. This took me a lot of time. I struggled with this a lot, but then slowly when I started talking to other freelancers as well, I understood that this is something that everybody in the industry is facing. And even if you see today, a lot of agencies are also facing this problem. So I think it can be just cleared by talking in advance, communicating well with them in the advance that this is what you are bringing to the table and this is what you would expect from them from the start. So yeah, I think this is that has helped me.
No, that's a good answer. And my previous experience is also working with a lot of marketing agencies. And I think the creative industry as a whole, branding, creativity, marketing, all that side of things, quite often they offer a lot of things for free, in a sense. Like they give a lot of experience, insight. Even sometimes they might do draft designs and things like that before even taking any payments and things. So yeah, it's important to protect your value as well as a freelancer, because you don't have the luxury like maybe one of these larger agencies does of having maybe investment in the business, or there are bigger teams and they can spread that kind of that opportunity cost out a little bit more. So yeah, I think that's a good, hopefully that answered your question. Feel free to add a little bit more comments if you need to for that person who asked it. We got another couple questions. So from Shubham here said, if I'm starting with the initial stages, so getting started on freelancing, how can I grow and start planning for content? So content planning, like what would you recommend maybe as a start point for somebody in that instance?
So in the initial stage, what matters is creating your content or your content calendar in advance for at least a month. This can be a very, very tricky part because if you're not very flexible with it, or maybe you're not used to writing content on a regular basis, then this is where you can miss on consistency. So what I suggest is to create different points at once. Let's say if you want to talk about graphic designing, so make a list, again, take use of AI because that is something that can help you, but use it wisely. Take help of it, identify the pain points, identify the topics that you think can add value to your audience, identify the trends that have been going on, follow different people from that particular niche, particular industry, and read what they are writing about. And prepare a bulk content in advance. Keep the content ready in the bank so that when you start posting once or when you just start sharing it once, then you don't have to stop to prepare another content. You already have it. And when you think, always analyze how your posts are performing, and based on those analytics, start by creating next month's calendar. So that is how you can always stay ahead, plus always be informed that what's working for you and what's not working for you.
Good answer again. Yeah, I think that's great. And I think the key thing also is just to get started. you know, in that sense, the best thing is to get going with it. But I like your point about building a bit of a calendar, or building almost like a file of things that you want to share. Because as you mentioned earlier, I didn't even realize that if you're posting consistently at the same time, that's also very good for the algorithm. And also, I think it also creates a habit with your followers, your connections, because then they start to see it at that time as well, which is really good. So that's another reason why you might want to build a bit more content up, because I think it's hard sometimes. If your goal was, right, I'm going to post at 10 a.m. every day, you'd have to be sitting there at like 9:30, 9:45 and be like, okay, what am I going to write? What I'm going to write? And then maybe you get distracted or something like that. So yeah, that's and actually that nicely does lead on to the next question from an attendee that said about, you mentioned earlier on about maintaining consistency, so timing, tone, for LinkedIn and such. Do you use any specific tools? So it could be, for example, LinkedIn Premium or Sales Navigator and that kind of thing, or do you use external tools as well? I mean, this is going back a little while now, but there are tools like kind of like Hootsuite and things like that that let you manage your socials externally and things like. Is there anything that you would use as a freelancer as well?
So it might come as a surprise, but I do not use any tool for LinkedIn.
Oh, okay.
I just use my phone, my alarm. I think it just rang a few minutes back, and that is how I know that I have to post now. So using AI tools on LinkedIn for posting or for engaging or for commenting is something that can hamper your growth and also lead to getting your account banned. So this is something that I really don't follow, and I don't even suggest. The more manual you are with your LinkedIn management, with writing, with posting, everything, the more organic growth you get, the more LinkedIn as a platform pushes you to grow. So this is something that I have never used, and I don't think I ever will. And that is also
No,
how
fair
I've
point. Yeah.
trained my team to work on their own, to work manually, and not be relied on any AI or any other tool.
That's good, actually, and that also sort of part answered the question below that, which was saying how are AI tools getting used for LinkedIn posts, best practices. And I agree with you. There's a lot of content out there at the moment that we see. I'd say the worst culprit is probably AI comments, because quite often it's usually in a comment that should be somebody giving their own view or opinion or thought on something. And if it's just the same post but reformatted with AI, you lose your credibility, because it just sounds like you're repeating what they just said. And I think really that's unfortunate. And I would say, you know, I understand that you might use AI to help you format some of the structure of it to make sure it's maybe grammatically okay and so on, but yeah, definitely not on comments. So from my point of view, I would say don't do that on a comment point of view in particular. But I think, yeah, it's even better, as you said, to be more organic in terms of how you're posting.
And what's the point of a personal brand if you're not using your personal experiences or your own tone to do it? So don't let AI do it. Do it yourself. That's what LinkedIn is about, and that's what I want to teach people on LinkedIn. That the more you are you, the more you get known for it.
Great. Yeah. So then there's another question down here. It says, how do you take feedback, and from whom, regarding areas of improvement? And then there's a second question of that, which says what's working and what's not working. So I suppose in the vein of a freelancer in that sense, like how are you managing feedback maybe with clients, either maybe during the agreement or during the project, and then maybe after the project as well?
So feedback, I take feedbacks from my client, one, yes. Second, I always use my LinkedIn analytics. That gives me a very raw feedback of what's working for me here and what's not working for me here. So I tend to do experiments every 2 to 3 weeks, experimenting on the type of post I'm writing, the pictures I'm posting, the topic I'm taking. It works sometimes, but most of the times it doesn't work. And there's nothing better than your LinkedIn analytics giving you feedback. You can ask your friends, you can ask your family, but they're not always going to be somebody, they might like it, somebody they might not like it. But in reality, it's who the people on LinkedIn are. They actually matter when it comes to writing here or posting here. So one way is to take feedback from the analytics. Second, engage with your network, your first connections, or maybe your second connections, and just ask them what are their opinion on the post. And the third thing that can be done here is adding a CTA in the end or a comment in your post saying what is your opinion on this or what are your thoughts about this. So this some people might relate to it, some people might not relate to what you've written, and that is how you get an honest feedback. But again, what people say is important, but it's also important to showcase what you really believe in. This might create some controversy for you on your social platform, but again, that is where you have to be you if you're building a personal brand as a freelancer, to be more precise. So take feedbacks, but also don't stop believing in what you want to talk about or what you want to do.
Thank you, Ria. I have a question. This is more on the business development side of freelancing, because there are lots of members who want to start as a freelancer, and some of them may have already started and they would like to get more clients. So, what are the strategies that you use to get more clients? Is it more organic from your LinkedIn posts that people see you and they reach out to you, or do you also reach out to them? Do you also kind of work with other agencies to find work? What are some of the tips that you can give other freelancers in terms of developing their freelancing business?
So one thing that has really worked for me is inbound leads, and that is how I think I've survived 2 years here. 90% of my clients are inbound leads and referrals. Lately, I think just last 2 weeks only, I've started with the outreach or the lead generation thing that I haven't really explored yet because I was only relied on inbound leads. And that I started getting once I had built my personal brand and I had collaborated with a few brands as well. And talking about agencies, a lot of agencies have directly reached out to me so that if somebody is not having a service of LinkedIn at the moment, they outsource it directly to me. And that is how I collaborate, how I tie up with them. So, inbound leads is one that can work for everybody if they're talking about their business, if they're talking about the services, and they're talking about their clients. So, for LinkedIn, not everybody can talk about their clients because there's a term called ghostwriter where you are not supposed to reveal the name of the person that you're working with. So, that becomes sort of a hurdle there. But you can also always showcase the results by hiding the name. And then lead generation or outreach works by that definitely works, but that also works if you have something to showcase. So if you don't have a profile built yet, then the best alternative is by having a portfolio. And if not that, always try to get on a call with the prospect client or the person you're reaching out to, because sometimes what they see, they might not be very confident with that, but once you talk them through the strategies, through the value you'll add, so that can be something very, very useful.
Great,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Yes,
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 Ashwin,
Yeah,
anything more?
just another question, Ria, in terms of business growth. Maybe you're still not at that point, but just to see if you're thinking around this and whether this is a discussion point in the world of freelancing. Um, One limitation that freelancers have is the time, right? So you have, say, 40 hours a week or 50 hours a week or 20 hours if you want to just work kind of lesser hours, but you're limited by that time, right? So that's when people also think about agency or converting from a solopreneur or a freelancer to a startup, or like an agency where you have other people around you so that you can scale. Is this something that you are thinking ahead for the business, or is it something that you're not thinking? Just wanted to know, like, what are the kind of thinking patterns in freelancing world around scaling?
So this is something that I am doing currently. I i as a freelancer have built a team of freelancers. So I don't want to go to the agency model yet, but I want to build myself as Ria itself, somebody who is, famous for just, I mean, known for the name. And you can always scale up by building a team of freelancers, because today the power that freelancing holds is much more than what an employee can do. So freelancer can work on different things at the same time. So scaling more by growing more, you can always build a team and delegate the required work the to specific people. I would say it takes a lot of time. It takes time to trust them. It takes time to train them. But once you do, you know how easy it can be. And since building a team of freelancers is not a very big burden on the pocket, so that becomes easy if you have people working with you on project basis or maybe on a few of the projects. So that is the way to work. I think this is the first step before having full-time team members with you. But yes, eventually, I mean, later, maybe after a year or after a year and a half, I can definitely think about scaling more and taking a different direction.
Thank you, Ria.
So I had a question. I know you touched on it a little bit throughout your slides and also in your answers, but I just sort of wondered, like, what does a typical day look like for you in regards to both freelancing but also LinkedIn in that sense? Because obviously you have it sounds like you're very structured in terms of like how and when you post and things like that. But like, are we talking about like 2 hours on that? On would you search certain topics, engage with people on this thing, or just review people who comment on? I suppose it's just to try and understand a little bit more because I think one feedback I've had from members when we speak to them sometimes is that there's a concern of, okay, I don't feel I have enough time to dedicate to it because it feels like a lot to do. And so I suppose it's trying to make it more accessible in a way. So maybe you can expand on that a little bit if possible, please.
So a day in my life is nothing that I have planned a day before. I always try to make a to-do list or plan my day tomorrow, but it never works for me because honestly, I don't really have a pattern set for myself. Sometimes I'm working 10 hours a day, sometimes I'm just working 2 hours a day. And thanks to my team, they help me with other things such as posting, such as engaging on clients' profiles, taking care of these things. And one thing that has really helped me manage all these things is by creating a content calendar. Like you said, that something that you had never thought or you hadn't explored it. So that helps me track what work is done, what is left to do, and how should I plan my next day or maybe my next few days or the next week. So that consistency isn't missed at all. I am making sure that I'm doing the posts regularly. And I think for a freelancer, there's nothing as a fixed timing. Otherwise, it would have just been like a 9 to 5 thing. So this is, I think, what makes it very interesting for me to not have a routine. I didn't like it, when I started doing this, but with time I grew with it. I made this as a part of my life, my lifestyle, and this is something that I'm enjoying. Sometimes I'm working at 6 in the morning, sometimes I'm working at 3 a.m. and I'm writing down ideas, I'm getting on call with the clients. So that's something that really excites
Yeah, I love that as well, actually. And I think that's something we hear from a lot of other members who are working
me.
in
Yeah,
a more flexible capacity. It gives them that freedom to say, right,
definitely.
so some people are kind of a night owl, right? And they love to work. They get
Right.
inspired at night time, or they just feel more relaxed at that time. And that's when they feel they can do their best work or content or whatever it is that they're doing in that sense. So it's great to have that flexibility, I think, rather than just
Yes.
saying, right, I have to start at 9 a.m. and I finish at 5 or 6 or whatever it is. And perhaps maybe just there's times where you want to rest during that period, for example. So yeah, that's great. And I think content calendar is an interesting one. I suppose the little mini follow on was that is, given that you said you're not so much on the tools in that sense, is it a physical calendar that you use, or do you have it digitally? Like, how does your content calendar look in that sense? Like, what would that represent?
Content calendar is basically what I really like to follow, and what I'm handy with is Google spreadsheets, because that
Okay.
gives me, yeah, that's one that is very easy for me to access. Second, almost all of my clients are also handy with that. So that is something. And second is my pen and my diary. I can never just write my to-do list on my laptop, on my iPad, or on my phone, because I know that I'm never going to see it again. But when I write it on my diary or maybe on my whiteboard, so that is something that I see. So tools like spreadsheet and my hand and my diary. That is something that I rely on, and that is something I am very good with.
Great. Yeah,
This
yeah, yeah.
might
I
be
mean,
like an old school practice, but yeah,
yeah,
this
it's
is
okay.
something very
Same here,
helpful.
by the way. Yeah, I love my notebook. It's just right next
Uh,
to me all the time. You can't
yeah,
see
even
because
I
of the
have it here.
background. Yeah, so
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a benefit. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, I was going to say there is a benefit actually to writing it down. It helps getting our brain faster as well. So
Yeah.
we shouldn't overlook, some of the traditional technology, let's say, and even physical as well. Like I would say, like I've worked in businesses where we've actually had maybe a big whiteboard or something like that on the wall, and then you could have your calendar items or your to-do list or something on there, and that way being able to see it, touch it, that can sometimes have an impact as well. But I appreciate that obviously not everybody wants to do that. They might prefer to use technology in that sense. But there was another question that came in, and then I was gonna unmute somebody as well, one of our members as well, and talk a bit about that. But the first question that came in says, how easy is it to build a faceless brand, I guess, on the fact of its personal branding, I guess, in that sense? Like how how would you tackle that?
It is not easy, one, and second, there's no personal brand without a face. It's just a brand, or it's just a profile that is active there on LinkedIn. People will relate to it much, but they won't they won't be very confident, or the profile that will not have the required credibility. So if you are not somebody who wants to put their face forward, I would suggest posting in different creatives or quotes, maybe with your name, with your email there. So there's something that people can know about you, if not your face. And I think once in a while, it's good that you show up as, or put your face forward, maybe in the profile picture, in the banner, or a few of the personal stories that are going there. So it is not easy, I would say, but it's possible, yes. And if I suggest this, would I suggest this? No, I will not, because a personal brand is all about your face and building your face value.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And I think this is the conundrum that businesses of all sizes have as well, is that they want to be able to be relatable and to connect with their customers or potential customers. And I think when you're completely faceless and you're sort of more of an object or a product than an actual team or individual, whatever it is, then it can sometimes harm your connection in that sense. So
Yeah.
I think like we always encourage our members as well, even if you're a small business owner or entrepreneur or something, quite often, especially an entrepreneur, maybe you've got a brand new business idea, you're in the early stage of growth. In that instance, nobody knows about your idea yet or your product or your service, but they might know you because they're connected to you, and therefore you should be able to communicate more about what you do as well, so that you can generate more interest in everything, and ultimately people do buy from people in that sense. So yeah, I think it's possible, but as you said, you need to incorporate the personal into it.
Your face
So thank you.
is what's important there.
Yeah, thanks for that. And so of the attendees left, so we do have a member here who is also for the most part doing a freelance journey as well, and just wanted to just invite him for a minute to talk about his own experience, because it's good to also bring other members and share their points of view, and just if they had any kind of comments as well on the session. So Shreyas, I'm just going to unmute you now. You're there. Yeah. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Thanks, Ria, for this lovely session, and of course, Jamie and Yashas. So I have been active over the past year or so on LinkedIn. I focus only on LinkedIn because I do not have the bandwidth for the other the channels, social media channels. So I have one observation and one question. So my first observation, which is that the more the periods when I'm regular with my posting, my views and visibility goes up. And when there is a lull, for example, I think for the last month or so, I've been off LinkedIn, and the recent post that went out saw much lower, visibility or impressions. So that's something which I concur with what you were talking about earlier. The other question in my mind is that so some of my posts do not carry my images because the narrative of the posts are in that nature. But there are some in which which carry my images or there'll be photos around. Now I see better impressions where there are photos of photos there. But I've also come across people saying that that so there are a lot of people who put up their photographs to along with posts which are absolutely unrelated. So they'll be talking about something something random, and but they'll at the end of it there'll be their photograph in it. To me, it doesn't make logical sense. But you, as a probably somebody who knows this better, what's your understanding of this? Does this contribute to better impressions, or it's just a myth?
This does lead to better impressions because this is the new algorithm that LinkedIn wants us to adapt to. So the idea behind LinkedIn has now shifted from just a job hunting platform to building your personal brand there, and hence the need to post your pictures there. So it doesn't necessarily have to be your picture, like I said earlier, but when you do that, you are even if it's a not relatable picture along with the content, but it does let people know that whose post they're reading. So sometimes in a lot of different posts in a crowd of posts, your post might go unseen when you don't have a picture. What actually grabs the attention is the picture first and then the content. So when you see a picture first, you take a pause there and then you read it, and when you know it's from somebody who you're following from a long time, or who has been doing some great work, so you eventually hit on the see more, and that is what leads to getting more impressions. So in the short term, it might not look very relatable to a lot of people, and people do say that LinkedIn has become the new Instagram because of the pictures and because of the videos. But in the long term, if you see, that is how you are building a personal brand, how you're building your face value there. So this just happened with me yesterday. I went to an event here itself in Indore, and as I entered the room, a guy came up to me and then he said that you are Ria. I see you've been posting on LinkedIn as a content writer. So that's when it hit me that from 2 years, what I've been doing is now the work that is finally getting recognized, even if it was just a single person. But that felt really nice because somebody is knowing me by my name, by my face, and then by my work. So in the long term, it does really make sense.
Thank you
Yeah,
so much for that perspective. Yeah.
I'd concur with that as well. I think maybe the only little thing I would add is you probably, like, if you're talking about, I mean, I'm aware of the work that you do, Shras, as well. So I know it can be very serious, it can be very personal in that sense. So if you're talking about a topic that maybe requires a bit more nuance, then you probably don't want to share a photo in that same post of you kind of grinning while holding a coffee or something like that, because that could be a little jarring for somebody in that sense. But absolutely agree with Ria and what she's saying in that when people scroll now, they do absolutely attach more attention to profile pictures, things like that, or it could be a picture of you with somebody else, or potential client or something like that, or maybe you speaking on a stage or something of that nature. You can like, I suppose, you build your content library. You could also build a library of some images that you might rotate with your posts as well, and then have that be part of your personal brand as well. There's one guy who's quite well known in Singapore. I've met him a couple of times, called Chris Reed, and he does a lot of his own like LinkedIn posting and stuff. But he's all about kind of like, I'm going to wear my rock band t-shirts and I'm going to have a beer in my hand and stuff like that. And he's pretty unapologetic about it in that sense. Now, a lot of other people might be put off by that and think, okay, I'm not a fan of that, but it works for him, and it helps him stand out in what he's doing. So I think it's just finding that for you as well. Like what kinds of pictures and so on that you could attach to your post that would be relevant without being too jarring.
Yeah. So what's working for me might not work for you. What's working for you might not work for me. So it's also about how serious you are or how casual you are with the posts, with the tone you're writing, and the industry you're catering to.
Hopefully that helps. But yeah, I think it's good to hear that you're doing more of it, and I'll be keeping my eye out for your posts as well, Shreya. So thanks for sharing
Thanks, Jimmy.
your point of view as well. Any last questions? I know we've gone over a minute or so, but just in case there was anything else, otherwise we can wrap up. And then what I'm also going to do, hang on, is just share your page with everybody so they can see how to find you and hopefully keep the conversation going. Give me just 2 seconds. I've had my I connected on my phone. There we go. There we go. Okay. Okay, everyone. So hopefully you found a lot of value in this. I know I did. I mean, I'm thinking about the other things that I can do, you know, to be more consistent in my approach as well. So if you'd like to kind of keep the conversation going with Ria, you can find her here. This is her LinkedIn. As you can see, lots of followers. So yeah, I'm sure even just seeing your post. The other nice thing is that there's bound to be other freelancers and other people in the similar part of the industry that will also be commenting on your post. So it's a great way to kind of meet more like-minded people as well. So yeah, please do drop her a note as well. And I know that you do also offer a lot of like one-on-one sessions and things like that as well. So you know, feel free to reach out to Ria on that as well. Is there any other pages you'd like me to share, Ria, just before we wrap up? Your website itself?
No, this is just it. So this has all the details that are needed about me.
Yeah. So we've got a link here. You can learn LinkedIn one-on-one as well. So you can get a really detailed session and then you can be the next LinkedIn rockstar.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
And
Okay.
if I mean, all the participants here, if you want to ask or if you want to learn anything about LinkedIn or more about freelancing, I'm really happy to get on a one-on-one call and talk about it more.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Ria. I really appreciate your time. Really good session and some great questions. And we really do appreciate you joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Ria, for sharing your insights.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jamie and Yasas, for having me here. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.